Hi, Kinesiology 3010. Welcome to our lab practice with Excel when it comes to correlation. So today we're going to go through correlations, how to calculate them using Excel, and then we're also going to learn about the Excel formula that we can use to check and to go through. So we'll do a little bit of math. I'll walk you through the steps to complete the math, and then we'll go through how to use the formula to compute the correlation. For this class, you will have to compute a correlation in your one of your final projects in your quantitative project. So keep this one in your back pocket. Make sure that you remember how to do this. All right, so I've given you your R equation here so you can see it visually. You also have it in your notes, your lecture, your textbook. So today we're going to determine the correlation between height and weight in this data set. So I have this correlation practice data lab 7 activity available for you on Canvas. So open it up, you can follow along and perform this activity while I'm talking, so you can do them side by side to get this through. So remember, with our correlation, we need some very specific data. So what I like to do is create my own columns for each piece of data that we need. So the first one is N. Okay, we need to know N. So N is our total sample size. So the amount of total cases that we have. So if we look here at height and weight, we're not missing any cases, we're not missing any samples. So that means our total would be 22. So we know that our N is 22. Okay. Now what else do I need to know? Okay, well, first of all, I'm looking at height and weight. So I'm going to label those just for my sake, just so we know what we're paying attention to. Weight is going to be my X, and Y is going to be height. This is just going to help me in going through as we have X and Y. This helps me visualize it a little bit more. So X and Y. So I can copy those data, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. Okay, now I have my data here for height and weight. Okay, next, I know I need to find X squared and I need to find Y squared. So X squared, Y squared. How would I do that? Okay, I need to know that I need to create a column. So I will go equals, select root 2. Okay, this will square the value. I could also use that, or I could say equals this value multiplied by this value. I will get the same answer. Okay, I'm going to use root 2 because, or 2 the second, okay, to give me that information. Okay, a trick here, if I go down and create that black X, okay, and I double click, it will do it for the entire sequence. Also, see how right here we are looking at J2. Okay, our Y is in K2. Okay, so if I take that black X and I move it over and I click on that, look at that, K2. So it just brought that formula over and shifted everything over. So that means right there, I only had to type in the formula once and I was able to achieve all of this information. So I have my X's, I have my X squared, I have my Y's, my Y squareds. I also need my sum of X, Y, or my cross product. So X times Y will equal X multiplied by Y. Enter, and then I send them all the way down. Now from this information, I know I need to find the sums. I see sum everywhere. Okay, so my sum of n, 22. Okay, now I need to go sum, open parentheses, or equals sum, open parentheses, select all of my x. So this gives me the sum of x. Now, just as we worked on before, I can drag this across. It's going to go sum of all the k values. So you can see that here, sum of all the k values, sum of all the l values, sum of m, sum of all the n column. So look at that. I have my sums. I'll put them all in some borders so that I can see them here, see them a little easier. Now I have all of those pieces of information that I need. Now I just need to create my equation. It's a little bit easier, I find, if I do the pieces in pieces and then put them all together. Okay, trying to type in this entire formula into Excel is a little bit tedious, it's a little bit time consuming, and there's a lot of places where we can cause some errors and lose what we're doing. Okay, so what I like to do first is go numerator, okay, denominator 1, or I'll use them as denominator x and denominator y. Denominator x, denominator y, denominator, and whole. So this gives me a little bit of kind of control over what I'm doing, especially with less experience in Excel, and I just don't want to make too many mistakes. I want to put myself in a situation where I can be successful. So my numerator equals open parentheses, n times the sum of the cross products. N times sum of the cross products, close that parenthesis. So there's my first one. Now I want to subtract that from open parentheses, sum of x times sum of y, sum of x times sum of y, times sum of y, make sure I got that correct. Close parentheses, close the final parentheses, see how they all turn black. Okay, the first and the last one, the colors will match from first to last on all of your parentheses. Make sure that they match. If you're not matching, you're missing. Okay, so there is my numerator. Now I want to know denominator x. Okay, that's my first piece. Okay, denominator x equals open parentheses. First piece would be n times the sum of x squareds equals. So n times sum of x squareds. So sum of x squareds is right here. I'm going to close that parentheses. Now I'm going to subtract that from open parentheses sum of x quantity squared. So that's sum of x to the second, close parentheses, close parentheses. So that gives me my final brackets on the outside. That's my denominator x. My denominator y, I'm going to use the same formula. So I'm going to type it in, open parentheses, n times the sum of x squareds, or sum of y squareds in this case, sum of y squareds, close the parentheses because that's my first piece, minus sum of y, so I'll open my parentheses, okay, sum of y squared, or y, to the 2, or quantity squared, close my parentheses, there's my denominator y. My denominator whole, or my denominator, is the square root of denominator x times denominator y. So that equals SQRT is my square root of, let me get an open extra parentheses just in case, denominator x times denominator y, and there's my denominator. Now my whole is my numerator divided by denominator. So equals numerator divided by denominator, enter. Okay. Now I know I can check my answers here because I know that my R value must be between +1 and -1. If I did not get between +1 and -1, there's an issue, there's a problem. I didn't do something correctly. Using this strategy of creating my table here with my sums, calculating my numerator, denominator x, denominator y, denominator, and my whole is the easiest way to make sure that you do not make mistakes. Okay, so this is going step by step by step. Takes a little bit extra time, but it's going to return you the correct answer. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. Go through these steps, and you're going to submit. Okay, I'll just turn this into R, your R value, and then I want you to submit your R squared. Okay, R squared equals R to the second is R squared. I'll bring that in so we can see it. R squared. Okay, R squared is the percentage of shared variance. So 49% of the variance in weight is explained by height. That makes sense. Taller people probably weigh more, but there is some other influential. We have muscle mass, adipose tissue, and things like that. That's going to influence weight differently than just height on its own. So that's what I want you to get through. So it should look like this. You should have these values. If you don't, go back and check them. And then to check your final answer. Okay, I want to check my answer. I want to know, is this actually correct? So my R using the formula. Excel is also a pretty smart program. Okay, it can tell you exactly what's going on. It knows some of these others. We don't want to have to do this all the time. So Excel does have a formula where it will do it for you. So our formula here is equals CORREL. Equals CORREL returns the correlation coefficient between two data sets. So CORREL, open parentheses, it indicates to me that I need an array 1 and array 2. Array 1 and array 2 are my height and my weight. An array is a string of data points down in a column. So equals array 1, comma, array 2, close parentheses. So I'm saying return to me the correlation between weight, or column 1, and height, column 2, that I've selected. Blue column and red column. Blue and red here so that we know that they're the same. And ta-da, I was correct in my calculation of the R value using my calculation method. So you can check your answer using the formula. All right. So for your lab activity, what I need you to do is compute the R value of your data set available to you on Canvas. Okay. I'm going to actually give you a slightly different data set than the one that's here on this video. So you should not be returning to me these exact same values. That would be a little too easy. You can just type them in and submit it. But we are using honor system here, so make sure that you get these done. Learn them correctly, because you will have to go through these steps and perform these calculations for your exams. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.